Your film is such a roller coaster of emotions. Ultimately, I have to say, it starts, as one thing, and it becomes just so suspenseful and really quite harrowing as it goes along. It's a remarkable vision. And Claire, you wrote this. The story really originated with you. How did this come about?
It was kind of a couple of factors in the same moment of time. It was I was at the time living in New York, and I'd heard from a friend who had to declare herself homeless in Dublin, just declare herself and then move into a room in her parents' house. And then also I was researching something at the time that made me realise there was a real lack of understanding about coercive and abusive relationships in the world, actually, and in the law system, but especially in Ireland as well, and just the amount of people that suffer them. So there's loads of things swarming around my subconscious, and my desire for my friend to free herself made me go on an imaginative leap. And I just Googled about self-building, because I thought, imagine a woman could just go to the side of everything and just go, I'm going to make this simple, like just one brick on top of the other, and just build a home for myself. And I'm sure it doesn't cost that much. And lucky enough, I Googled it, and it did exist. And there was a design that you could download online for free by a man called Dominic Stevens. And that was the beginning of my, oh my God, that's a story. So.
And so then how did your collaboration with Phillida come about? Because I know you had worked together on the stage before. Did that experience feed directly into this film, or?
Yeah, well, it was actually a lot of the work that I did with Phillida was we did all female Shakespeare, but we did a lot of it. It was all set in a female prison, so we also ended up doing workshops with prisoners themselves, and going and visiting prisons with productions. And there was just a lot of research around all of that as well at the time that probably fueled my desire to write this story. Then eventually Phillida heard I was writing a script and asked to have a look at it, and I suppose it eventually organically sort of happened then down the line.
Yeah, I mean, at first I think I thought this is an Irish story, it has to be told by an Irish director. And then I remember one day somebody saying, Claire has written a part for a great leading movie actress. And I thought, yeah, herself. Because, there was, as far as I could see, there was an injustice in the UK, which was that Claire had not really had the chance to take any big movie roles on screen. And I knew that if I got to direct it, I was going to insist that not only had she written it, but she would stay as the leading actor. And so that became part of my, forget that I can't speak Irish, I'll work that out when I get there. And it seemed also, it's a Dublin story, but actually it's a universal story. And maybe being something of an outsider helped, to sort of us move that into that sort of universal frame.
So, this must have been such an interesting production, because the story is about how your character builds a house on her own with some help from some friends. Did that require that you shoot the film chronologically?
It was a nightmare, actually. First of all, I must just say that a year before we started shooting, Claire and I went on a course at a Centre for Alternative Technology to learn how to build a house. And there was us and 20 men with beards all camped out building a small oak little house on this course. But on the shoot itself, the nightmare was that we had to build it, but then we had to leave while the crew advance the build. So we were coming and going from a location which was very expensive in shooting time and a little bit crazy.
That's so interesting. So it was like you had to wait for a little bit until they had assembled a bit more and then resume production.
Yeah.
Wow. Who were the people on the crew who you had to rely on the most in terms of this whole undertaking, in terms of making this happen, with building the house plus?
I mean, it's just a massive collaborative effort. I don't think you could even go, it's that one person. It's just an amazing team. And I just felt the whole Irish crew were so organised, so efficient, that even though, we felt we were wasting time in running away and not just shooting out the locations, the construction crew, particularly who were building the house, were the heroes, really, weren't they?
Bill was really was he the lead guy?
Yeah.
And he was amazing.
And also
got
taught
everybody
the
happy.
actors, didn't he, to use really dangerous tools. I mean, we were really using these you saw those sort of savage electric saws and things that you'd think in a world of health and safety, they're not going to be allowed to use that. But actually everybody was really doing that stuff, which was really cool.
You mentioned Bill just now. Is that like a construction
Oh
foreman?
yeah, just
or-
one of the guys, like one of the crew guys. Yeah, just I remember him teaching us a lot and like having to be very patient and organised. He had to kind of organise and oversee the construction and make it work, for the shoot. And it was a really tough job. I just think he was amazing. Bit of a hero on set.
So much, and it's also just such a lovely depiction of female friendship. The relationship between both of your characters is really beautiful. Was there anything that you tried to do to create that camaraderie on set, or was it just a natural connection? Or
We've
together.
had a long relationship of different sorts, because in the all-female Shakespeare's, Claire played my wife, my enemy in battle, and my son. So we had that relationship. Plus, I was her landlady for a bit while she was writing some of the script. So we'd have conversations at 2 a.m. in our kitchen.
Yeah.
So I suppose you draw on anything like that you can, although my character starts off quite tetchy and hostile and warms up. So that it's never hard to, if you know someone, you can talk to them easily about what you think's going on then.
What helped was Harriet was my first idol, so I was pretty happy it was her that took the role.
And she had to sort of help me pull my trousers up, like, how are the mighty fallen?
But it's funny because Harriet's influence was much further back. Like when I was 15, I read a book that she wrote about being an actor, and it was how she talked about how stories can affect the world that made me go, I think I actually could be an actor, because I hadn't connected it to the rest of how it works in the world, if you know what I mean. So then further on, when I got to work with her, I was just kind of starstruck. And then as the years went on, and we became friends, we got less starstruck now. But it was just an honour then to Harriet was really in demand for work, like in the last year, and we were really lucky to get her to shoot this, and it was we were just so delighted it was her. That was Peggy. So
Lovely job.
And the trust between them, it was possible for me to, if we were in a particular corner, we were trying to get the children to relax or whatever, I could just ask them to improvise and know that we had such history in terms of being able to go, let's go right off piste. Nobody was thrown. It was very, very creative in that way.
That's so interesting that you just said that you were trying to get the children to relax, because I think that Claire's your interaction with the children in this film is extraordinary and is so natural. It's beautiful writing, but their performances are really extraordinary. And how did you? What were some techniques that you employed to really get them to open up and get the best performances out of them?
I don't know. I just have loads of nieces and nephews, and I'm just used to being around them, and that The thing is that I wrote them as well. I wrote these kids as well. We met them in auditions, of course, along the way. There was a process with the casting thing. But I think because they were such natural, generous, sort of spirited little children. They just wanted to always chat to each other or give something. You never had to worry about saying, do you mind playing with that for a while? They were gone. They loved being active and doing stuff, but in a very natural way anyway, in themselves. And so then when we did stuff together, it was kind of like, I just chatted to them like I knew them, because we got to know each other in the audition process. And then they were just like my nieces and nephews. Basically the trick with children, writing them and talking with them, is just think of them as they're just smaller adults. You almost have the same level of respect with them. I just stay on an even keel with them, and the rest was just easy going then, yeah.
You had to be very careful not to patronise them, and obviously we were trying to protect them from, there were some very violent, scenes in the film, but there was one moment when I was, Ian, playing Claire's husband, was trying to strap little Molly into the car, and Molly wasn't meant to say a word, and he was talking, and every time he said, are you all right, she was like, yeah, I'm fine. So I said to her, look, whatever your father says to you, don't reply, don't say a word, because you're not going to speak to him ever again until he says sorry to your mum for what he's done. And she looked out the window and just said, is sorry enough? And I thought, oh my God, why did I go through that rigmarole with you when you kind of, you not only have you read the script, but you've really got this. It was really incredible.
And the older one technically knew exactly what she was doing. She'd say things like, do you want me to half turn on that line and have my hand out of the shot, or is it going to,
Yeah, and she'd never done a film before, hadn't she?
She'd never done a film. Yeah, amazing.